5th Hour Radio Show.
Geoff, I imagine there isn't a person on this planet who listens to rock music that hasn't heard of you and the bands you're affiliated with. And we get so many aspiring artists, writing in, asking us to ask our guests how they got started in the business, what inspired them and stuff like that. So if you don't mind, could you give us a little history lesson on how you got into music yourself?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I was always very into it when I was growing up, because my parents were musical. So I had a very strong musical background, and I think that that really helped me to focus what I was going to do. And I went to college, and I studied music there for 3 years. And so I kind of did, it was something that I really wanted to do. And I think that any encouragement I would give to people who who are thinking about a career in music these days is to persevere and study the craft, rather than think you're just going to walk in at the top level, because I don't think that really happens. And I did a lot of time. I got into doing session work, and it was really just by chance that I bumped into Trevor Horn, and we got going, and the rest is history, really. We got our first record deal with Island Records with the Buggles, and the song was a success. But that sounds easy. We did a lot of trying and testing, and a lot of plugging and going around a record label. So I would advise anyone who's starting out on a career in music to persevere and have a belief in what you're doing. I think that's the secret to it.
Well, how long did it take you to get comfortable playing in front of an audience? Did nerves ever play a part in your career? You're one of the greatest keyboardists in history, and I think a lot of people out there would be interested in knowing if you had to overcome those pre-performance jitters that so many young artists, even seasoned pros, experience.
I still have it. I still have the butterflies before I go on. I think that that in some way is your mind protecting you, because you're preparing yourself for something, and so I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be a little bit nervous before you do perform, because it kind of gets you in the mood for doing it. And of course, once you get established and you pass the first 5 or 10 minutes, then you just really on a different sort of planet. Really, you're just performing to people that you want to.
You were speaking about the Buggles. When you were with the Buggles and Video Killed the Radio Star ended up being the first music video played on MTV, did you know at the time your band was going to have that honor? Or did you even have an idea how big MTV was set to become? Has it become more of an honor over the years?
Yeah, I think it has over the years. I think the latter is the point, really, that it's something that, it's had its milestone status has shown itself over the years, because I think when it first came out, when MTV first came out, video had already been a hit all over the world, and I'd moved on to Asia, and Trevor had moved into production at that point. So it was something that was very much an afterthought. I don't think anyone could have predicted that there would be a video channel suddenly emerged in the way that MTV did. So, it's an honor. Sorry, it's an honor in hindsight, certainly.
So let's talk about what you got going on right now. Are you on tour right now with Yes?
Yeah, we're just in the middle of right in the middle of Canada, right in the middle of a Canadian tour. So we're just in Winnipeg at the moment, and then we're moving across to the east, and then down to a couple of shows in the States, and then we're on our cruise to the edge thing with 22 progressive rock bands on board.
Wow.
Which is going to be something else.
How long has this tour been going on? Is there an album associated with this tour right now?
No, this is the 3-album tour. We've been doing the 3-album Yes tour, which is the three defining albums from the 70s. The Yes album, Close to the Edge, and Going for the One. And we put those together. We put this tour together last year, and the reason we're doing Canada is because we only did one show there with this 3-album show, and there was quite a lot of demand for us to take it there. We're going to Europe after that, and taking the 3-album show there, and then the album, the new Yes album comes out in July.
Well, gearing up for a tour has to have some stress behind it. How do you prepare for an extended amount of time being away from home like that?
I mean, it can be difficult because I think that in a lot of things that people are really reliant on you to do certain things, and it's quite demanding. But I think that a lot of my friends and family understand that that's what I do for a living, and it's just the way that it works out sometimes.
Well, talking about, you being the greatest keyboardist of all time, keyboards that you play, do you set them up yourself, or does a technician come out there under your advisement and set them up?
No, I've actually got two tracks, one in Europe and one in the States. But my keyboard tech guy called Will Alexander has been with me for 3 years now, and he worked with Keith Emerson, and he's worked with Yes and the Rolling Stones and all sorts of people. So he's a real professional, because I do have a very complicated keyboard rig that he likens it to launching the space shuttle every day.
Is there one keyboard you stick with during a show and just add accompanying keyboards throughout, or do you continually swap out?
No, I've got my kind of vintage sounds, acoustic piano sounds, and Hammond organ, and some big sort of brassy string sounds and things like that. They're more my kind of signature sounds, I think, and so I'm conscious I keep those. But I like to experiment in the studio, and when I've got some few minutes free, I'll fiddle around with the technology and see what I can come up with.
Now you're on tour with Yes, but you also just released a brand new album with Asia, Gravitas. And I want to put, and I want to put my 2 cents in about the album. I'm not a critic. I'm just a huge fan, but it's got that epic sound to it. Music takes you places in the mind. That's what it does. And when I'm listening to songs like Gravitas and Valkyrie, it's like my mind instantly transports into some kind of grand adventure, man. I mean, when you're making an album, do you guys get together and record this on how you want the listener to feel, or is it just, you guys are just playing for the moment? I
think largely we do it. We all, of course, you always have the listener in mind, because we are conscious that, the music's got to have some kind of depth. And I think that the whole idea behind Gravitas was that, it's a deep album, and so when we were writing it, we were conscious of the fact that we wanted to do something that was not just a group of kind of more throwaway songs. It has songs that had some weight and significance to them. And I think that, we have to some degree achieve that with Gravitas. And I think the proviso is if that we like it and we think it sounds good, then hopefully other people will agree with us.
Now, you've been putting a lot of material out with these bands over the last few years. Do you consider yourself a workaholic? Do you ever slow down and enjoy the other things in life, man?
I enjoy it when I've got time off, and there isn't that much this year, but last year I had a bit of time off. I like to go out for a meal or go and watch a sports game or something like that. So, or just sit and have a few drinks with my friends and family. That's my main thing. But as I say, this year has been particularly hectic with the 2 new albums and the tours for both bands. So maybe next year I'll have a little bit more time.
Yeah. Geoff, you've had such a long and successful career, and I'm sure you've made a very good living doing what you love to do. But what I admire most about performers such as yourself is when you give back. What I mean by that, is the concerts, the performances you've done for various charities and good causes. How rewarding is it to be able to do what you love and at the same time impact so many people, through raising money at these events?
Well, I regard it as a privilege, and I think that, I think that anyone, who's been in my position would see that as a privilege, because it's something that, not everyone has, not everyone enjoys the job that they do, and I think that is the single most privileged thing about it, is that, we're out there doing stuff that we love doing, and I never forget that. I never forget that really is the only word I can use is a privilege.
Yeah. So do you have your own personal website that our listeners can go to get all the information about, your latest albums?
Yeah, you can find out all of that from geoffdownes.com or YesWorld or originalasia.com, all .coms.
Yeah.
So people can find out what's going on, where the tour dates are. I mean, there's a lot of touring coming up in the summer with Yes in the US. There's an Asia tour in September, October in the US. So you're going to be seeing quite a lot more of us this year, I think.
Well, Geoff, man, thanks for being on the show. I want to wish you good luck with the bands, and I also want to wish you good luck with everything outside of music and, in your life. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. Very nice to talk to you too, guys.
The 25th Hour Radio Show.